It is not looking good for Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. The film is now his lowest performing trailer, and ratios are starting to form all across the internet. It's the same thing we saw with Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs for Disney with Rachel Zegler, and it's no surprise because, well, Rachel Zegler has been one of the names the trades have used to try to defend this thing. So what's going to happen next? Well, it looks like The Odyssey's chances for a box office success are dropping, and you won't believe what the break-even is for this film. It's a great day. It's a groovy day. Thank you, folks, for coming our way to somewhere sunny USA, where the studio is glistening every time you're listening to what we have to say. A PhD level of understanding into Hollyweirds served up right now. And folks, you don't owe a single cent of tuition for your on scholarship. Click the like button and off we go. Geeks and Gamers has this one by Marvin Montanero. Just coming out, the Odyssey trailer has in fact become Christopher Nolan's most disliked preview ever amid backlash over creative changes. Oh no! And by the way, there's Travis Scott. He'll be in the Odyssey playing a bard. I don't know if he gets to walk around with a lute or, a little tiny guitar, medieval thing. No, this is early the medieval. Come on, bro, get your history right. But we'll see if he sings any. The Odyssey has become the most disliked movie of Christopher Nolan's career, at least the trailer. Christopher Nolan has spent nearly 2 decades building one of the strongest reputations in Hollywood, from the Dark Knight trilogy to Inception and Oppenheimer. Nolan cultivated a fan base willing to show up for almost anything with his name attached. But the first trailer for The Odyssey appears to be testing that loyalty in a way no previous Nolan film ever has. While the trailer is not technically ratioed on its main upload, the negative response surrounding the project is unlike anything Nolan has faced before. And there you can see it, folks, 81,000 dislikes on the May 5th trailer. Now, what's interesting is that the controversy surrounding this film really wasn't there on May 5th. At least it had not broken open with Elon Musk doing what he did. How it would fare today if a new trailer came out might go a different way. The primary trailer upload currently sits at around 315,000 likes against approximately 81,000 dislikes. For most filmmakers, those numbers would still be considered positive. For Nolan, however, the scale of the backlash is striking when compared to the reception of his previous films. The contrast becomes even more dramatic on international uploads. You can see here, it's been ratioed. Universal Pictures Canada, 10,000 likes to 23,000 dislikes. And how does that compare to former films? Well, Tenet, a movie often criticized as one of Nolan's weaker or more confusing projects, saw vastly more favorable trailer engagement with roughly 396,000 likes against only 9,500 likes. And this is as the controversy, I believe, is growing. Now, Jonas, this film was recently defended by the Hollywood trades, and what they did was they said that this reminded them of Snow White and those awful mean people who just wouldn't leave Rachel Zegler alone. And as soon as I saw that, I said, well, out of a grab bag of 100 ways to defend Christopher Nolan in the movie, that would be the worst of them. So what are they up to? Jonas, now we're starting to see Rachel Zegler kinds of responses on YouTube, on social media, on X, and I guess the worry is this could go in that direction at the box office. Do you think that it's safe under the Christopher Nolan name, maybe?
As safe as anything could be. I don't know, when does this actually come out? All this conversation...
Late summer.
Yeah. All this conversation is questioning who the casting of the film is and what Elliot Page is doing. And we just found out that Lupita Nyong'o is playing several members of a family. They haven't shown me that this is an entertaining film yet. So all of this discourse that's going on online, it's very difficult to tell what the normies care about versus what the terminally online or very focused people are. The people who watch this show probably have misgivings about what's going to be in the Odyssey. What's funny is Variety is probably, and Penske Media, who owns this and Deadline and The Hollywood Reporter, is probably doing more of a disservice to this film to get the narrative out that Elon Musk dislikes this film, because they come from a bubble in which all of those people dislike Elon Musk. So they think that the whole world probably dislikes Elon Musk. So this is trying to legitimize some kind of sentiment against the film. I really don't know if outside of our circles that there's that much discourse around this. Mandalorian Grogu is, Mango and Grok is barely moving the needle. I'm trying to think what else outside of He-Man is coming out this summer that would be of any interest to anyone. I think this is a play for some kind of relevance more than anything else. Variety is trying, just like Hollywood Reporter was trying to bring in the fan response on Mandalorian and Grogu. I think Variety is trying for their own relevance by going after people who say negative things on Twitter, which 20 years ago, we would say that that's not worth writing an article about.
Well, and you might be right. The thing is, and I want to point this out to everybody looking at the article we've got up, take a look at that second paragraph. We've highlighted the top, and that's the Snow White Rachel Zegler defense, and that's how we're getting the trailer response. But where we get into the real issue here for Hollywood, it says, in recent days, Twitter trolls, that's Elon Musk, have formed a defense, we'll just say. It's the thesaurus on display, the next couple of words. But $250 million is the adaptation of Homer's epic scheduled to hit cinemas July 17th. $250 million on production on this thing. Now, $250 million, if we apply anywhere close to what we think the marketing would be, probably $150, this is a $400 million total spend on marketing and production. And that gets us to an $800 million break even. And so when we see the Rachel Zegler defense coming out for this kind of a film, that's when we all say, whoa, this could be a huge flop, a huge economic disaster for Hollywood. And everybody who's anybody in Hollywood is in this thing. Panel, is this sort of the final comeuppance of the woke era, do you think?
That's hard to say. I mean, everybody's going to have their opinion about something and another. I mean, I know there's a lot of conflict that going on with the historical inaccuracies. Now, did Christopher Nolan, I haven't kept quite up with everything, did he specify that this was going to be a historical adaptation of this film? Or is this just his adaptation of the book?
You know, that's a great question.
Because
he picked the Emily Wilson version adaptation of the story, which means it was going to be radically feminist from the beginning.
Okay, well, I was having this conversation with someone the other day who is a fanatical, like, Christopher Nolan fan, and I've enjoyed many of his films as well. And he does have a reputation for doing things that are outside of the box, making you think a little, dig a little bit deeper, and even making movies that maybe you didn't enjoy watching the first time, but that you went back and watched it again, and you're like, oh, I see it differently now, or I understand or appreciate it differently. And my question, I mean, we all know that, you know, the wokeism can infiltrate anywhere and everywhere, especially when you're around it for a really long time. I would like to say that as a creative, you know, I wonder if some of the backlash is coming because sometimes you try to go outside the box, you try something new, something different. If Nolan has a certain way of doing things, and then maybe he wanted to reinterpret it a certain way, because a creative mind sometimes just wants to try something different. Yes, I know it's a business and it's there to make money, but if you do the same thing the same way all the time, you get a little bored with it. So the possibility, I honestly, when I read the snippet of why he had Travis Scott, now I didn't know Travis Scott's past history and everything, but when I read his reason for why he cast someone like Travis Scott, being a rapper and everything like that, I was on board with the idea, just because of the fact that it's different, but it's the same. It's a story to tell, and you might have a different way of telling and sharing history or myths or whatever. But to be an entertainer, even a rap artist, and conveying stories, I don't think that's problematic. I don't think it's a miscast, because, you know, I saw people were upset because, like, oh, it's a black man and this is supposed to be in Greece. Well, but at the same time, during this period of history, slavery was everywhere, as it always has been. And if you look into our own history here in America, I mean, myths and legends have been passed down through folklore by slavery and everything like that as well. It's not uncommon for creative people to explore different areas. I think that we also do have to be careful and tread lightly when we label everything as woke, because it's different. And that's where the fine line comes from. It's like when you make a radical change, like turning Helen of Troy into somebody from sub-Saharan background, you are dancing a very dangerous dance there. but allowing for creative liberty in certain areas just because it's not historically accurate. If he wasn't going for historically accurate, but he was going for his adaptation, the same thing with the costume design, then I can't really blame him and fault him for it. It's just his adaptation of a story that he enjoyed.
Do you think because it reads in that way that we've been in the woke era, because it reads that way to people, it's easy to latch on then and say, okay, this is part and parcel of what we don't want anymore in Hollywood, and therefore, and maybe Elon Musk has a strategy in this, right? Maybe he realizes that this is a winning thing for him to ride with in terms of PR and moving the needle culturally. I don't know, panel. I mean, what do you all think about that?
Two things can be right at the same time.
There's a great truth to that.
I'm looking forward to terrible sound editing and the dialogue lines being everywhere but the center of the screen where they're supposed to be on the center channel, which is why Nolan's made some really terrible films. The audience didn't enjoy them the first time.
Which ones are terrible? I'm going to push back. I would like for you to specify.
Go watch Tenet.
Christopher. Okay,
go watch Tenet.
I haven't watched Tenet, but most people then
wow, you're a huge Nolan fan. Then.
I didn't say I was.
Oh,
but he's
okay.
Also, he's made The Prestige, which is, in my opinion, a perfect film. He's not terrible because he had one film that didn't do well.
It's not the only film he's had trouble with that in. There have been several sound editing issues that he's had in film.
Are you talking about the fact that he turned the music way up on Interstellar?
Yeah, and
there's no artistic reason that you would want to drown out the dialogue with the beautiful music. Is it an informational passing session or is it a movie?
I'm
giving you a hard time because this is a nitpick I have. It's like, let's.
I gave you an example. Go watch Tenet and get back to me. Then we can talk. All right.
I've had a pretty good streak at not watching Tenet, even though I've had like the DVDs on my counter for years.
Okay.
That was a confusing movie.
I enjoyed the construction of the film. A lot of people have their objections to it, but again, you should be able to understand the dialogue between the characters. It can help with some of that confusion. It's just dumb.
Go and subscribe to his channel, not mine.
But the brilliance of Tenet, though, is that it does get you to think. And then when you learn the nuances of what he did, like when you realize, like when you discover that the music that is played at that certain scene near the end is other sound effect, like played backwards.
Yeah. It's played
this
backwards.
is the thing that I do love and respect and admire about Christopher Nolan. And because he does have a history of well-made, even if they are bizarre or thought-provoking films, it gives me just a wee bit of faith or more faith that we might be missing a bigger picture with this movie for creative liberty. The other thing is that, again, as an artist, I know not every piece hits. You could have a passion project that you love and you've always wanted to make and you've been planning for years. You make it, you love it, you pour your heart and soul into it, but it is not well received by the rest of the audience. And I'm not saying that this gives a wiggle room for if there isn't any intentionality with I want to cast this person because I don't care about history or whatever. At the same time, that is creative liberty. He does not owe us a historically accurate film.
And to defend, Tim Burton made Dumbo, okay? Not everybody hits a home run every time. If you're watching a Christopher Nolan film and you find yourselves confused, folks, I recommend going and watching Inception. It's a much easier film to get into and recognize what it is. Culture, give me that look again. What?
Wait, before you two fight.
Really should have gone with Prestige on that one. Inception? Let's have an argument,
Oh my goodness.
Prestige was good.
Caro, wrap it up for us.
I was going to say, I don't understand the need for this movie right now. I mean, we have plenty of tellings of the Odyssey. And some of them are very skillfully done and they're very entertaining. So I'm like, why are we doing this again? Or if you are going to do it again, kind of like do what they did with Jane Austen's Persuasion when they made the Clueless movie back in like the 1990s, right? It's same story beats, but it's like in a current setting. It's got a lot more forgiveness and it covers the whole thing. And so I just keep thinking about like, why is there a need for this movie? Like and maybe it's coming from a business background, because I'm like, I don't really see how this movie, which has many, predecessors before it, more skillfully done. I hate saying that. They're already in the market. If I want to see something that's very historically and accurately done, I'll go watch those. I have zero interest in this. So that's my final thought on that.
10-4, 10-4. And, maybe we didn't need this. Maybe we needed the Iliad and have the cojones to call it the Iliad instead of changing the name every single time. When we get a film adaptation of the Iliad, they always say, we're going to call it Helen of Troy. No, let's go. Call it the Iliad, darn it. Source material, honesty, integrity. Do it. And put another one in the can, folks. A video of excellence has been birthed into existence, and you were there to witness it. Thank you for participating. We hope you had a good time. Folks, it's a great time anytime we get to share time with you, and we mean it. The only thing additional we ask, on the way out the door, consider clicking the like button. Share, subscribe, click it and stick it to those pesky algorithms. It is the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. And oh, by the way, if you would be so kind, perhaps share this out on your favorite social media platforms. Folks, we've got all kinds of content coming your way. If you are interested in going even beyond all of that, well, there's a Pro Store, and you can always find those items directly below the video you're watching. The Pro Store, it's a cool place to check out for items that, well, definitely Disney and the rest are not going to sell you, but we're happy to do so. Until the next time, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.